This here is the DYU T1. It's a 20-inch foldable e-bike that does have a frame that's quite good looking because it doesn't have any weld marks at all. In fact, it's made out of one piece of magnesium alloy here, so it's a seamless looking design. Very good matte paint finish to it as well. The brand of tires that DYU has selected for this bike are ornate. I have not seen these tires before on any other 20-inch e-bike, and they seem to be pretty good. So it's a cross-country style tread pattern to them. Now the rim here you'll see is the tri-spoke style. Now it looks a little bit 2000s, I think, this style of rim, but it is very easy to clean. And our rear hub motor, this is 250 watts. It'll power us up to a limited 25 kilometers per hour. Now there is the pedal assist using a torque sensor that's in the front crank and a battery that is locked into place. Now it is very easy to remove. You can see we've got a key here and a lock, so you simply need to turn that and then you can slide the battery out completely. Now the capacity of this battery is 10 amp hours and it takes around 5 to 6 hours to fully charge. The good thing is you can charge it either in the bike or take it out and charge it at home or in the office. The handlebars and the frame are foldable, but also these pedals too. I can't see a brand name on them, but good that they do fold. They're made out of a combination of alloy and this ABS style plastic, and they do seem quite strong. For brakes, we have 160mm mechanical disc brakes, so they're cable pull, not hydraulic these, and they do need a little bit of bedding in, and so far they seem to be working fine, no real complaints with them, and I have my braking test later on in this video. The front headlight is very bright and it lights up a sufficient amount of area there that nighttime riding should be reasonably safe. You can see that it does have a reflector below it too. Plus, each of the wheels has their own reflector on the side, so great for safety. Included with the T1, we get this rear reflector, and they do include an LED tail light. This is battery operated, so it's not hardwired, unlike the front headlight, that is. Now the seat has a decent amount of padding to it. I do find it to be comfortable, and it caters to rider heights of 155 centimeters to 200 centimeters, and our bike's weight, the T1 here, is 22.5 kilos. For gears, we've got a Shimano set up here. It's their tourney and it's 7-speed. Our front crank does have a chain protector around it, and the chain is a KMC brand chain. Great to see they have used a protector here for the derailleur so it doesn't get knocked out of alignment. Now my biggest complaint with the T1 is that there is no screen. This is our gauge here for the battery. It just simply states high and low, and we have these 3 LEDs here. It does kind of make it difficult to know your exact remaining battery percentage. So the power on button here, you simply need to hold that down for about 4 seconds. It then powers on the bike. You press it again and that will turn on and off that front headlight. We have a bell. They've used lock grips. So this is really good. So many companies cheap out and they just use silicone rubber grips that aren't locked into place and they spin around. These ones do not. The levers feel okay, but being cable pull, they're not as good, the feeling of them, as a hydraulic system. So we've got our shifter right here, typical Shimano, so that's to go down our gears, up our gears right here. It works well and I've had no issues with the shifts. And this I have installed. You don't have to install it, it's optional, but they include it in the box. This is a push throttle right here that you can use the bike then just in a simple moped mode, so you don't even need to pedal at all. Folding our bike in half, and then the handlebars is not too difficult. So there's this little red latch, you need to push that out of the way, pull the main latch open, and then using my knee here to then separate it around. And it takes a little bit of work. So you see, flip it around like so, and there's a little stand there at the bottom that the bike is going to sit up on, and then right here, just remove the latch and drop the handlebars down. I can also remove the seat or drop that down to reduce its size. So it makes it a lot more portable, and I'm able to fit this in the trunk or the boot of a car with ease. You can place it under a stairwell too, for example. So great for storage. And then setting it up is exactly the same, but in reverse. So first, I find the handlebars is the easiest. So pull that up, clip it into place, open it up, make sure the latch is open too. And again, using my knee here does help. Then flick the latch around. There we go. I'm all set and I can ride it now. And on to what it's like to ride the DYU T1. Now the frame, yes, a little smaller, being a compact foldable 20-inch bike. That kickstand, it does the job, it holds the bike up well. However, I do hear it sometimes rattling around, which can be a little bit annoying. Now getting on the bike, not a problem. The seat height can be adjusted right up to rider heights of 200 centimeters. And as I ride along, we've got that torque sensor. Now the more you give the torque sensor, the more it gives back in return. Now we don't have any pedal assist levels at all. There's no screen, so there's no buttons that you can go and put it into pedal assist level 1, 2, 3. No, none of that there. It's just the battery gauge, which is a little hard to see in direct sunlight. Now going down this curve, I feel the shock that's in the seat do a little bit, but really it's not much. It soaks up a few things, but you feel a lot of these little bumps around here. It's kind of normal. So it's a city commute bike. Perfect for this. Bike lanes right now, cruising about. Now the sides of the frame, I wish the handlebars weren't so close, but the good news is normal turning circles, there's no way my knees are going to strike the handlebar. So it's not that kind of small, but it does feel a little cramped for my size, my height, 184 centimeters. You can hear that motor a little bit. So 250 watts, and I'll give it now quite a bit. And you can hear it a little, and of course it gives me that assistance in return. So up to 55 kilometers is what they say the range is with the T1. Now also just demonstrate now, I'll come to a complete stop. I can use this. So we've got our throttle here. So it's a thumb style push down throttle, not a twist. I'm not even pedaling at all, so I can use this if I'm feeling tired, a little bit lazy, or maybe just to push off to get that start before I start pedaling. So I can't see the speed of the e-bike because I do not have a screen, but I know it cuts out at 25 kilometers per hour. And if I push really hard on the flat here, pedal as fast as I can, it's very hard to get up to around about 30 kilometers per hour, but it is possible just with the 20-inch size wheels. One thing to know that the locking and latch mechanism for the frame is very solid. The way it pulls in from the other side and the way it joins up to the frame, it gives me a lot of confidence. It doesn't feel like there is any flex whatsoever. The front handlebar is very solid. So even me jumping up and down, I've ridden down some curbs and things, I'm not worried. I'm confident in this frame. It does not feel like there are any weak points in it. Now for the climb test. So this is going to be interesting because it's a 250 watt motor. They say about a 15-degree climb, and this is about 20-25 in patches. So I'm in the 7th gear, which is not a good idea. So I'm going to lower the gears down into 3rd gear now. So because it's a torque sensor, I need to push ahead a little bit, and it's giving me back that in return. And this isn't too bad. Yes, I have to put a little bit of effort in. I would say it's about 50-50 at the moment. Sometimes around about 60% my effort and 40% the motor, but it's doing well. This is better than I thought out of a 250 watt motor. The climbing performance here from the T1. I have now gone into the 1st gear, and I'm going to turn it off completely. So hold down the power button for about 4 seconds. Oh, straight away, you feel when it turns off. Okay, so this is very hard. It's difficult, but it's doable. I can still do this, but I'm going to get a workout. Emergency braking test, so just gauging approximately 30 kilometers per hour from the white post there. Okay, feathering the brakes a little. So I made it before this post. That's pretty good actually. For mechanical cable pull 160mm brakes, they are okay, but I have bed them in first. So I've already done about 30 kilometers with these brakes, got them nice and hot. They are definitely performing well, and I can stop when I need to safely. Now then, the range. Their claim, DYU, is it can get 55 kilometers out of this. Now, of course, the mileage is going to vary from the kind of roads you're riding on, how many climbs you have, your rider weight. What I'm looking at here, and it's hard to gauge because we've only got the status LEDs here, is about 35 kilometers is what I'll be able to get out of a full charge with this 10 amp hour battery. Now, the torque sensor does make it a little bit more efficient. And if you don't have a lot of climbs around, or you weigh less than me, I'm about 82 kilos, then you'll probably get better range than that. Now, if you do have one of these bikes and you are watching this review, let me know in the comments what kind of range can you get out of your T1. So what I'm really impressed with is this frame. It's a very solid frame. I love the way the join here for the fold sits absolutely perfect. It's very flush. There's no play, there's no movement in that at all. And this latching mechanism gives me a lot of confidence. The way it locks in from the other side, it pulls together. It really feels like a rigid single piece frame, even though, of course, it is split in half here. Same goes for the foldable handlebar. That latches on really tight. I do have a bit of trouble sometimes dropping down the handlebar, but I like that. It's very solid. It really doesn't have any movement at all in it. Now the bike rides well, despite having a more compact frame. I don't feel like my knees are going to strike the handlebars. The gears are working really well. Braking performance, better than expected. And another surprise is the climbing performance. For a 250 watt motor, I didn't really expect it to be as easy as it was to climb up my standard test there. And that's great. It almost feels like it's got a 350 watt motor, but it is, according to what's marked on it and according to DYU, a 250 watt motor there. The suspension that's in the shock, that's in the seat here, very, very little travel. It's quite stiff. It gives a little bit, but really it's almost pointless. They could have just gone with a normal style seat post there. Of course, you can change the seat if you don't find it to be that comfortable. The front headlight is good. All up, it's a decent package, and there's only two things that annoy me. One is there's no screen, there's no pedal assist levels. Because of that, they're lacking the screen and the controller for it. And a very minor one is the kickstand here. It sometimes rattles. When I go over rougher roads, I hear it rattle around a little bit, which is a bit annoying. The mudguards, these plastic ones here, they don't tend to make any noise at all. So overall, DYU, have a great bike here with the T1. If you're after something for city commutes, A to B, and you need it to be a foldable bike to be more compact, you've got the battery that's also locked into place, and it's definitely worth a look here. So thank you so much for watching my review of the DYU T1.